Alright guys, so today I'm going to be reacting to a video that's been popular in the last couple days. It's actually from October, but you know, a couple months ago, but it's very popular right now. A couple of people sent it to me and wanted me to give my thoughts on it. So today we're going to be watching The Champion That Can't Be Nerfed, the story of Lee Sin, and we're going to be giving my raw thoughts. I've not yet watched the video, so we're just going to start it. Let's just do this.
Metas shift in League of Legends. Champion picks come and go. But there's a champion that always seems to weather the storm.
And that's Lee Sin, of course.
He's always the strongest. It's because when it comes to showing off how mechanically skilled you are, there's no champion like him.
This is true. This is why I play him, guys. This is why Lee Sin's got the most popular fan base.
And once you've had a taste of that freedom, well, it's not easy to give it up. And if you want to prove that you belong beside the best junglers in the world, you have to show that you have a Lee Sin.
Name a jungler that's made it to pro level that doesn't play Lee Sin. You know, it doesn't mean that's their best champ, but every pro player, they're gonna have Lee Sin in the kit because he's just so good in pro play. And I think I'm assuming that's what this video is about, is just how prevalent Lee Sin has always been in pro. The story of Lee Sin. This is an 18-minute video, so I'm not sure if I'll show the whole video in my video. Again, credit to the Score Esports. Oh fuck, we have an ad. Credit to the Score Esports for this video, by the way. I'm gonna put obviously the link to this video down in the description. But yeah, let's finish this thing.
Lee Sin was unleashed unto the world on April 1st, 2011.
Dude, that's crazy to think about. 10 years.
He redefined what mobility in League meant, but Lee's ult, Dragon's Rage, is
best ult, honestly, best ult in the game.
A massive kick knocked enemy champions back, and other enemies in the path were knocked into the air. It was a playmaker's dream. Kicking a
Lee Sin's ult,
enemy back into your team.
Lee Sin's ult is not the most overpowered ult in the game, but there is not a single ability that feels more rewarding than the Lee Sin kick. You can do so much with it, you know what I mean? And the addition of the extra damage from collateral when you kick someone is just by far the most satisfying thing in the game. Let's go.
Turn the tide instantly. These two factors meant that, at least on paper, there was the potential to seriously outplay the opponent.
On top of that, he has a lot of tools that are always going to work in the pro scene. The fact that you can have such a large distance that you can close onto the opponent and then kick them backwards into your team means no matter what, you're always going to have the opportunity to have a viable team fight in the game. And then his early game ganking is also strong. So he's got all those things kind of going for him.
Yeah, I believe in Season 1, I didn't even start playing until Season 4, but Season 1, I don't know much about. I didn't even start playing League until the end of Season 2, but I believe in Season 2 is when people started taking him to the next level. I have a feeling that's what they're going to talk about. I think that's when the InSec got developed, was in Season 2, all the way back in 2012. Think about that. 9 years ago. This is crazy.
Foremost among them was Moscow 5's Diamond Prox, who became known for
Moscow 5, dude.
Especially
what a throwback.
Rather than play it safe on a tanky jungler and spend his time dealing with
Alistar jungle, that was a thing, huh? I didn't even know that.
Like Invictus may be able to take their first dragon here. There have been 3. Diamond Prox waiting on the wing to get in there and smite this out. Who will be able to grab their dragon? Diamond Prox grabs it out. Can they win the fight? They lost a lot of HP on the focus there. Alex Eage on a rampage as he drops PDT, and it looks like they will be able to mount a few members here of Invictus Gaming. Diamond is still alive somehow. Puts on the shield. Can they get these last 2 with a sliver of health and an ace and a dragon steal, and they lose 3?
Wasn't even that great of a play, but it was. I mean, it was a clutch play, but like, dude, imagine if Lee Sin had Conquer in this video, you know what I mean? Like, it's game changing. This game was so much different back then.
But the champion's most iconic play would not be seen on the big stage until May 2013 at All Stars. And it was there that InSec showed off the combo.
This is where it started, boys.
Be named after him.
Could just be because he got a good
The famous InSec. I've seen this clip so many times.
for this game.
And the fact is that we talked about who would maybe get that as Lee Sin is going to go in the onslaught. Yellow Pete gets knocked up. Kennon's going to go into the middle, but Yellow Pete will die. Madline's going to fall down as well. Edward going very, very low. Gets a pull off in the end, but they're ripping through the rest of them. Double kills coming out for energized, and they're not done just yet. They're going to chase down Diamond.
And this is, honestly, this clip is one of the clips that made me want to play League. Because back in S4, S5, like, that was an iconic moment. It's still iconic, but back then, man, it was like, do you remember when the InSec was started? That's how it was started. And it just opened up a can of worms.
It's easy to dismiss this play today because it's considered something that any competent Lee Sin player can pull off. But that moment showed everyone that even 2 years after the champion's release, pro players were only just scratching the surface. And it reinforced the idea that for the mechanical jungler, Lee Sin was the ultimate test. A jungler could not be called truly elite if Lee Sin was not part of their arsenal.
I always enjoy casting Lee Sin because skill expression is very evident. So if someone knows exactly what they're doing, you can really see how good a player is when they're playing Lee Sin because he's so hard, he has so much playmaking potential, and the best players seem to always be the best at him.
Yeah, what Jat's saying is like, you know, people always ask me personally, like, why did you get into Lee Sin? And what Jat just said, that's my answer, so.
And Lee Sin players would have to figure out how to get enough wards of their own. The default option became the newly introduced sightstone.
And dude, this is what I miss the most about old League of Legends is sightstone, Wriggle's Lantern, Tracker's Knife even. This wasn't even Tracker's Knife wasn't even a thing yet, but sightstone, man, it felt good to have wards in your arsenal. Like, it really did. And nowadays, yeah, it's hard. You have to be very selective with your warding.
By the end of Season 3, it was clear that Lee Sin was a dangerous weapon in the hands of an expert. He went from being nearly ignored to having a 63.5% pick ban rate at Worlds. And Bengi, the jungler for 2013's eventual World Champions SK Telecom T1, dominated with him.
Bengi and InSec are like the godfathers of Lee Sin. They definitely made Lee Sin what he is today. They laid the groundwork. Bengi, I actually call, there's a play I call the Bengi, which is when you gank top lane, and then when he comes back to lane, you sit in the bush and you gank him a second time. Bengi started that, so Bengi's like one of the all-time greats.
Lee Sin's rise meant that tons of players were eager to try their own hand at the champion. Casual players, undaunted by the complexity and perhaps inspired by the pros, began to lock in the blind monk, even if their team would rather they didn't.
Wait a second. Wait. Hold on a second. I think I just saw something. I'm almost certain I just saw my name. I'm not even kidding. Wait.
Pros began to lock in the blind monk, even if their team would rather they didn't.
Yo, that's me! What the fuck? I didn't even know I was in this video. That is actually from my video. Okay. Oh wait, it says courtesy Rav. That was from Rav's video.
And those players' inability to resist hitting Q a second time earned their play a name. Lee Syndrome.
Yeah, I hit the Q.
Lee Syndrome.
Going in on, okay? The flow chart for my logic is going to be, is enemy in range? If yes, press Q. If not, don't press Q. Did enemy get hit? Yes. Press Q again? No. Revert back to phase 1 of the flow chart. Very simple, very easy to remember.
That is a funny breakdown. I've never seen that clip from Ross, but that is the definition of Lee Syndrome, and we all have it. If you're the Lee Sin player, you can't tell me that you don't at least think about it. And if you're like me and you've played as many Lee Sin games as I have, there's been hundreds of times where you've fallen victim to Lee Syndrome.
Another huge shift would help the champion's popularity. The revamp of jungle items that included Tracker's Knife. A jungle-specific item that also gave wards was maybe the biggest buff that Lee Sin had received.
Best item ever for Lee.
Game and junglers hungry to prove their mechanical excellence, it was a golden age for Lee Sin. At Worlds 2016, he was tied for highest jungle presence.
We're talking S5, S6 at this point, I believe. Yeah, I think this was Season 6. This was really the glory days for Lee. I remember Peanut, dude. He was popping off in these worlds on Lee. Bang! What a play!
With your realm walk, you can't afford to get
Dude, how many Lee Sin players, how many famous Lee Sin players can you think of? I mean, the list goes on. And that's the thing with Lee is...
I've always been really attracted by
Let's just listen
really
now.
good early game champions, really good skirmishers with like that really depend a lot on having really good mechanics. And in the first place, I was an Elise one trick, and then at one point I was like, holy, like Lee looks so fun. I have to learn this champion, and then ever since then, I think that was like 4 years ago, I've just been loving Lee. You have so much potential to make big plays. He's just a really good skirmisher, and he's pretty much everything I like as a jungler, and I just really love the champion.
And he said it best. I mean, I think every story of like, hey, why did you get into Lee Sin will sound just like that, because I mean, that is the exact reason why I got into Lee, right? And the thing with Lee is most characters, there's one or two like famous, you know, one tricks for that champion, but Lee Sin, I mean, think about it. Broxa, InSec, Bengi, Gripex, Bubba Kush. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. There's so many famous Lee Sin players. Sven Skaren, even Medius had a good run at Lee Sin in like S4. So I think Lee Sin is one of the few champions that can fester a community around literally 10s, 20s of famous Lee Sin players.
If Lee Sin mains were hoping for a change that would make the champion more viable in 2018, they ended up disappointed. Because the core of modern Lee Sin builds, Tracker's Knife, was removed in patch 8.4. The idea wasn't to target Lee Sin.
Rest in
It was to
peace.
reduce vision generally in the hopes of making the game less predictable. But since Sightstone had also been removed, it left Lee Sin in a terrible place. Now, with no cheap access to wards, it seemed like the art of playing Lee Sin was on the verge of extinction.
The thing is this is what's so weird to me, is I was hard stuck Diamond 3 for like 3 seasons in a row, and then funnily enough, when they removed Tracker's Knife, I started breaking through and getting to High Diamond, and then the next season after that, I got to Masters without Tracker's Knife. So I think it was a huge nerf, especially in pro play, and I think it was a nerf in high elo solo queue, but it opened up a different playstyle for Lee where you're less map control oriented and more dueling oriented. Not that he wasn't already. When I started using Red Smite, I actually started finding myself having better success on Lee. So even though it was the worst nerf in history of Lee, I think he still prevailed through it. So let's see what they have to say.
In 2018, in every major region, Lee Sin was barely played before Worlds, but it was clear that the game's best hadn't forgotten that he existed.
Fascinated as to where RNG go with this, because you definitely don't want to pick the Trundle. Olaf could be an option, but will
Everyone gets so excited at the Lee pick. That's the power of this champion, man. No one gives a shit when you lock in Graves in pro play. You lock in Lee Sin, the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, so trying to figure out why Lee Sin always remains viable. One of the most simple things about it is almost every jungler who's made it to pro has put in a ton of games on Lee Sin because he's so fun and he has so much skill expression. So if you're a good player, you probably like playing Lee Sin and you put a bunch of games into him, so you think you can make him work.
That's actually a very interesting take, because I feel like when asked the question, why is Lee Sin viable, my response would be totally different. I think that Riot Games likes to keep him in the meta. I think he's so versatile that he can prevail through almost any meta. There has been times where he hasn't been so good, don't get me wrong, but I always felt like it was his kit that made him prevail. But Jet is actually saying, and I think this is actually pretty interesting, he's saying that it's not even the champion himself, it's the amount of experience that people have on the champion that makes him viable despite the meta shifts, because he's so fun. And you know, that's the X factor with Lee. He's fun. You know, I think he's fun. You guys that are watching, obviously you think he's fun. You don't even have to touch Lee Sin, and you can still enjoy watching a Lee Sin gameplay. So definitely an interesting take by Jat, and I have no rebuttals to that whatsoever.
And the cycle continues. Masters inspire new students. While we may never again see a meta dominated by the champion, you can bet that a new generation of junglers will keep their pocket Lee Sin well honed. And whether you think they're gods,
Gilius, king of Lee Sin, ascend to godhood and grant me this win.
or Lee Sinners,
their comp looks so confusing, the evil geniuses.
Yeah,
it's just so
it's all over the
random.
place. Right, it is. It is.
There's no like with one another. Oh, what was that?
even a blind monk can see that Lee Sin isn't going anywhere.
Failure has not stopped me before. It will not now.
That was a great ending. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That was a great ending, and I love that quote where he said, "Masters inspire new students," and that's pretty much why I think that's like, if I had to boil it down to a single sentence, why is Lee Sin so prevalent? Why is he always in the meta? Masters inspire new students, man. Everyone wants to play this champion. Everyone wants to take they want to take their best shot at being a Lee Sin pro, being a Lee Sin master. And I think they summed it up beautifully. I love this video. The Score Esports, huge channel on YouTube. Definitely go check them out and check out this video. That is going to be the end of my reaction to the story of Lee Sin and the champion that can't be nerfed. I'm really excited for Season 11. It drops tomorrow, so look out for my stream. I uploaded that hype montage the other day. I'm really just trying to get you guys pumped for Season 11 and my return to the Rift. So if you guys want to catch me on Twitch, I'll be live tomorrow, not sure what time. Twitch.tv/Heizman_LOL. It's in the description. Come watch me. That's it for me, though. Until next time, guys. Peace.